So this police officer allegedly scammed the city out of $600,000. Now, the officer's name is Officer Brown, and Officer Brown is 36 years old during this time, living in California, and she actually works as the police department's homeless liaison. So she works with a lot of the unhoused population. So that's cool. But one day in 2022, her life changes because she's on duty, working her beat or whatever, and she's trying to arrest this suspect. But as she's trying to do that, this guy starts fighting with her, and I don't exactly know what happens because the information isn't out there, but somehow, kapow, she gets hit in the forehead. And immediately after that, she's not feeling so great. So she goes to her watch commander and she's like, I have a headache and I'm feeling super dizzy. And then she goes to the emergency room to get checked out. Once she gets checked out, the doctor is like, this looks pretty minor, you'll be fine. And the doctor clears Officer Brown to go back to work. Here's the deal though. Officer Brown apparently doesn't really want to work anymore, which is relatable. But allegedly, she was hoping the doctor might think her head injury is worse than it actually is and that she might be able to get some paid time off of work. I guess one of her real passions is coaching youth soccer, and there's an American Youth Soccer Organization conference in San Diego coming up in a few days, which she would love to be able to get off work so that she can go to this. And so she decides to call in sick because of her head injury, even though the doctor cleared her for work. And so she calls in sick, and it works. And because her injury happened while she was on the job, she still gets to collect her paycheck, which is a pretty sweet deal. And so she goes to this youth soccer coaching conference in San Diego, and she has a great time, and no one at work suspects a thing. So now she's thinking, damn, this is pretty dope. I didn't have to go to work, but I still got paid, and she wants to keep this scheme going. Allegedly. This is all alleged, by the way. And so Officer Brown asks this guy to help her stepdad, who we'll just call Stepdad. And Stepdad is an attorney who specializes in workers' comp claims. Stepdad is also apparently a pretty shady dude. And so Officer Brown goes to Stepdad and he starts helping her out with this. And because of his line of work, he knows exactly what she'll need to do in order to get her claim approved. And I guess together they come up with a plan for her to keep getting paid without having to go to work. And first, she has to keep complaining about the symptoms that she doesn't actually have, but would have if her head injury were bad enough to need to be put on disability. And so she complains that she's dizzy, she complains that she has trouble processing words and processing thoughts, she complains that she can't read. Bitch, go to school. Then, to really sell the whole thing, she goes back to see a doctor. Now, I don't know if Officer Brown is just a really good actress or if this doctor just sucks, but Doc ends up diagnosing her with severe concussion syndrome, which she allegedly doesn't have. Once she gets this diagnosis, she's placed on a type of workers' comp called total temporary disability. And because her total temporary disability is due to a work injury, this allows Officer Brown to not work at all while still collecting her full police salary for an entire year. Not only that, but the salary is tax-free, and the insurance company has to pay all her medical expenses. Oh, but it gets even worse-er. Once that year is up, if she continues to fake her disability, she can collect 2/3 of her salary for another year. So she can basically pull this scam for 2 years if she keeps going. So she keeps going. She keeps on faking it. She keeps telling her bosses that she has headaches and dizziness and sensitivity to light and noise, and that she can't even look at a computer screen because she's so sensitive, and that she's not able to process words or thoughts. But in reality, she's actually out here living it up. Like, she starts taking online classes to get a master's degree. She signs up to participate in some 5K races and she starts training for them. She often goes golfing or to see baseball games. She goes on 2 different ski trips. She goes to more of those youth soccer coach conferences that she loves so much. She even takes a vacation to Disneyland, because why not? Which, by the way, Disneyland is not that bad, but if you're claiming that you have headaches and dizziness and sensitivity to light and noise and that you can't even look at a computer screen, then you're probably too sick to be going to fucking Disneyland. Anyway, clearly Officer Brown's scheme is working, and it's working well. She's collecting all this money in disability while doing whatever the hell she wants, and she seems to be having a great time. It's almost like she's never gonna get caught. Until about a year goes by, and it's now 2023, and her scam is still going. And this is when Officer Brown decides she wants to take a little trip to Stagecoach, which is like this big country music festival in California. Here's the thing about this music festival, though. It's in the desert, so it's hot. It's like 100 degrees there, and the music is loud, and the lights are bright, and like 75,000 people are supposed to attend, so like it's gonna be crowded. Someone suffering from a severe concussion would have a lot of trouble in this environment. However, since Officer Brown is allegedly just faking it, she's gonna be fine. And so she buys a ticket and heads out to the festival. And there, she's having a great time. She's drinking and she's dancing and partying with the crowd. But what she doesn't know is that also in that crowd, there are a few people who know her personally. And they know that she's supposed to not be working and on disability. And I guess those people are like, isn't she supposed to have a head injury? And at least one of them goes and rats her out at her work and tells her department that they saw her at Stagecoach partying and dancing. Now, I don't know if her bosses think that she's totally cured or what, but a few days later, they call Officer Brown to a virtual meeting on Zoom because they want to discuss potential duties she could now perform as a police officer since she's apparently feeling so much better. And stepdad is there with her, and he's an attorney, so he's like speaking on her behalf in the meeting. And during this meeting, Officer Brown is laying it on thick. On her side of the Zoom, she's sitting in a dark room and not looking at the computer screen because she claims that the bright lights from the screen would hurt her eyes. And stepdad is there, and he's like defending her like, work? She still can't do any work. This poor woman can't even take phone calls because she can't process words or thoughts. And so now her work has to start investigating her because, she's saying that she can't work, but other people are saying they saw her at Stagecoach partying. And 2 years later, I guess they've investigated and they now have enough evidence. And so, bam, they arrest her. And I don't have a mugshot, but here's what she looks like in real life. Also, bam, they arrest stepdad too. And by the way, they claim that Officer Brown stole more than $600,000 in wages and healthcare costs from the city. $600,000 in free money. And so Officer Brown gets charged with a bunch of felonies for this scheme, and she faces a maximum prison sentence of 22 years, while stepdad is also charged and he faces up to 8 years in prison. However, I just want to be clear that this is all alleged. This is what they're being accused of, not necessarily what they've done because, they haven't been convicted.